Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you are breathing. Today is Sunday, August the 20th, 2023. My name is Stephen Carnegie, and welcome to This Is Just a Thought. Today's word of the day, aghast, which means to be struck with terror, amazement, or horror. Aghast. Hope everyone is enjoying their Sunday as always. It's been a long time since I came to you guys on Sunday. This is the day which the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. So happy Sunday to you all. We've made it. So it'll be the start of a new work week. Wow. Man, yesterday here in North Carolina, the temperatures were pretty manageable in comparison to what it's been. It was in the upper 80s. Felt good. I had a chance to sit out and relax and just enjoy myself. So it was a most welcome treat, if I could say that. But of course, if you know, you know. Later on this week, really tomorrow, Monday, the heat's back. Upper 90s, real feel 100 plus. And we've been experiencing those real field temperatures of 100 plus. We've been around 105. Some days we've gotten close to 110. But they're saying it's going to come back. And it's just like everywhere else here in the United States. So the majority of the United States, if you know, you know, down there in the Southwest, they've been experiencing 110 degree plus days. That's not real field. That's their temperature. Man, around Texas, Arizona, they've been getting it. They just have. Florida even, Louisiana, they just been getting it. We've been getting it here too, but it hasn't been that bad because down there in that region, they've been experiencing that, the better part of a month plus of those real fields. Like I told you guys, July is on record as being the hottest month since they started recording temperatures ever. Wow. This is the summer. This is going to be a summer for the record books. It just is. It just is. Of course, those that say climate change, hey, it's understandable. Not going to argue too much with you guys about that. It may be climate change. It may not be, but that's just how the earth operates. It's Mother Nature. And man, speaking of Mother Nature, wow. This past Tuesday, around 4, I say maybe close to 4:30, we got some severe thunderstorms that came through, knocked off power. Little old Durham, North Carolina. Threw a lot of people for a loop. They weren't prepared. Me personally, like I said, hey, I had been watching the news. They had been talking about it all week or part of the weekend going into Monday. They were saying stand by because it was supposed to come Monday and never showed up. We had what they call isolated thunderstorms, and they were pretty mild. But come Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening, going into that 4:30 time frame, all hell broke loose. It was a short burst because I was at work and surprisingly on that side of town the power didn't go out, the lights flickered. I believe it flickered and then it came back on, so we kept the lights on. The power was fine. Internet went out, but man, it was short. I swear it seemed like it was only like 15 or 20 minutes. But when I got home, I had no power on this side of Durham, around the northern part of the city. Like I said, a lot of folks weren't prepared. I was, I had all the provisions and everything, but mentally I wasn't prepared because once I got home and I realized there wasn't any power and I realized there wasn't any air conditioning, I was not a happy camper. Like I tell you guys, I love the summer, but I don't do heat too well. I have to have something standing beside me and hold me up and hold me down, and it's the air conditioner. And I was not a happy camper. I just wasn't. When it sat outside, it was a little breeze. It was a little mild. That was calming, but the house, it was a hot box. And hey, if you've been through it, you know. But the mental side of not having power and no AC, I found myself This is what I say. If you're used to something and when it gets snatched away from you by Mother Nature or whatever, what have you, it takes you a while to adjust. Because I found myself walking around the house with a flashlight, and every room I went in, I hit the light switch. Creatures of habit. I just did. Yeah, I looked like a big goofy. I just did. And I would walk in and hit the switch, and I would say to myself, "Damn, there's no power. What are you doing?" Hey, if you're used to something like having power, you're just used to it. You just are. And that right there last Tuesday, it didn't throw me for a loop, but it made me aware how dependent we are, and I am, myself included, because with that power, when it went out, internet service went out to no internet. And if you heard me before, or you know how addicted we are as human beings to the internet, there were a lot of sad campers out there. They couldn't adjust. They couldn't believe there was no internet. So a lot of folks were riding around trying to find internet service, get on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever. Man, it was eye-opening. It just was. And speaking of weather and natural disasters, man, I'm sure by now we all know about Maui, Hawaii. Wow, those wildfires. Those wildfires. Wow. I feel safe in saying it pretty much, if it didn't, it came close to destroying that island. They're saying they don't rightfully know where the fire, how the fire started. It could have been carelessness. It could have been nature. There may have been some thunderstorms around, but man, it swept across that island, and with those heavy winds, that's what fueled it. And a lot of people right now, I believe the death toll is over 100, or well over 100, and they're saying that's going to rise as they go through the search and rescue. A lot of folks lost their homes, loved ones. When the fire started, a lot of people, they had to jump in the water. That's how bad it was. Some folks sadly didn't make it to that point. Now, one thing that has came out, and they're questioning, and I guess you got a question also, the response. Not only the response, but the notification. Why weren't they were saying that they weren't notified that there was a fire that was moving that fast. They said there were no alarms. And one of the things that came up, of course, they said, hey, isn't there an alarm that should go off? That emergency, the head of the emergency services there, he has resigned. He first came out with a statement. He said, yeah, we could have sounded the alarm, but that alarm is mainly for tsunamis, and it's not that loud. We were able, before power went out, before the internet service went out, we were able to send notifications to people's phones, and that appears to be, it wasn't enough. He stepped down. At that point, I'm not playing a Monday morning quarterback or second fiddle or casting doubt, but I would think if at that point, once you see that fire moving, you would do any and everything to get people's attention. Sound that alarm. And, folks were scurrying around, some folks were trying to save their houses, some folks were trying to save family members and property and their own lives. Just wow. I personally, I've never experienced anything like that, and I don't think I want to. Fire, it moves pretty quick. And this one did. So the death toll right now is well over 100. They're saying it's going to go higher because they have a lot of search and rescue going on. Search and recovery going on. All those buildings and homes and businesses gone. Looks like a bomb went off. It just does. So they're of course, they're seeking help, and they're asking folks for help, and what more can you say? What more can you do? Pray for those folks in Maui. They're saying that it's going to be years before they're able to even get back to halfway where they were at. It's going to be 10 plus years. If you've seen those, I'm sure by now all of you have seen that video footage. That island is destroyed. Nothing. And they're saying that there's still some hot spots. They have it controlled and contained right now, but Man, pray for the folks of Maui. Right when you think you got it bad, I'm walking around here complaining about there's no power. Put some things in perspective for you. Make you shut your mouth and hit your knees and ask for His grace and mercy. Wow, just wow. All right, let's move along here, man. Hey. That time of year again. Preseason football. All right, football season is coming back, man. I've been waiting, anticipating for so long. Only a few months. It's only been a few months. I'm not that big of a basketball fan. I'm not that big of a baseball fan. But football is it for me. It's my enjoyment. Along with my wrestling. Just is. Man, let's start with the New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. Patriots won 21-17. Aaron Rodgers and company couldn't pull it off. Sorry for you. Did he play? I don't think he played. Well, in these preseason games, it's more or less it's you got your starters, you got your veterans coming back. It's more or less to see what you have on your squad. What you have on your squad as backups, or for those that could step up in time of need. Jets couldn't pull it off. The Patriots did, but a surprise thing with the Patriots, they now have acquired former Dallas Cowboy running back Ezekiel Elliott. Mr. Eat. Looks like he's been eating. He's put on a few pounds. I'm not one to talk about folks putting on weight. But, fella, you might want to back away from that table. You look a little, what do you call that, comfortable weight, I guess. Maybe he's been eating because he got cut by the Cowboys. Hey, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And the 49ers and the Broncos, the 49ers pulled it off. They finally got one after being defeated and just manhandled the previous week by the Las Vegas Raiders. So they came out against the Broncos and looks like they got them one. And speaking of the Raiders, they defeated the Rams 34-17. And the Tennessee Titans defeated the Minnesota Vikings 24-16. I don't know how close. It was a pretty close score, it looks like, somehow, some way. But the Vikings, I know this is preseason, but, hey, the Vikings is one of those NFC North teams that they were saying that, hey, since Green Bay is without Aaron Rodgers, the Vikings is their conference. The NFC North is theirs. Haven't been looking good these past 2 weeks. Doesn't look like that. Just doesn't. And of course, the Chicago Bears, they won last week. They beat up on the Tennessee Titans. And looks like the Titans came back. They weren't able to beat the Bears last week. And they beat the Vikings. And yesterday the Bears played the Indianapolis Colts. And they lost 17-24. A game which they had pretty much controlled. I was fortunate enough to watch a little bit of it last night. And all of a sudden, I can say preseason all day long. I know these are just guys trying to make the squad. They're backups or whatever. But you guys got to show a whole lot up before you're ready for that regular season. They got defeated by the Colts 24-17. Colts look pretty good. They hung in there. They fought. Hey, they just did. And in one more game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks. Cowboys lost 14-22. Gotta admit, I gotta say, the Cowboys, they didn't, they played well. They didn't play like I would think they would. They played well. And the Seahawks, surprisingly, they played pretty good. I gotta say, don't let that score fool you. Defensively, the Seahawks, they surprised me. But, hey, we all know the Seahawks, they always got a good D-line. But one of their biggest problems has been their cornerbacks, their secondary. They might just have something this year. Old Pete Carroll might just have something. But hey, it's preseason, baby. What are we? Just under a month, September. I believe it's the second or so that the first NFL game is. I'm excited. I can't wait. A couple of weeks away. Football. Gotta love it. All right, let's move along here, man. This is an update of sorts. We all remember the Utah mother and wife that killed her husband and then wrote a children's book on how the kiddies should deal with the death of a parent. Well, yeah, she OD'd her husband with 5 times the legal limit of fentanyl. An update, looks like she won't be, if she's convicted, the death penalty is now off the table. I guess they're just going to give her life. And she, of course, maintains her innocence. Yeah. Killed her husband, OD'd him, dropped some fentanyl in, well, allegedly. Put 5 times the legal limit of fentanyl in his, before you go to bed, drink. Killed him. So, lucky for her, I guess, if I can say that, if that sounds feasible, she's not going to get the death penalty. It's been taken off the table. Good for her. Judge decided it wasn't, apparently wasn't worth the death penalty. Okay. Hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? So lucky for her, she escaped the death penalty. And, wow. All I can say is wow, and wow. President Donald Trump has been indicted again. This time down in Fulton County, Georgia, for that election fraud, or the attempted election fraud, to get the state of Georgia to overturn the election results. As he said, there was some wrongdoing going on. There was some crookedness and thievery. And he called up a Georgia elected official or appointed official that was over the election, and the state attorney generals or whatever, what have you. He called him and said, hey, look at here. I need 11,780 votes. You got to give it to me. On a recorded line. Now, this is his 4th indictment, of course. It looks like the state of Georgia is going to prosecute him, and along with 18 other co-defendants. That includes, of course, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani and certain members of his staff. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there said there are going to be some folks that, some Republicans in Georgia also that are included in that indictment, because what had happened, one of the things that came about, they tried to upset that electoral college process, so he had some folks to hold an electoral vote in the state's capital. But of course, the state of Georgia came back and said that's unofficial, that's not authorized, those aren't the elected part of the electoral college. Who are they? Why are they here? What are they? Well, like I've said with the previous indictments, the other 3 indictments, I really can't see them charging him or him serving time, especially with that document scandal down in Florida with him hoarding all of those documents, even though some were classified, top secret, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And he had them in his possession. He had them stacked all over his house, in the garage, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, in the office space, in the storage shed. And if you know anything about that, one of those that was one of his workers, or 2 of his workers, they've been charged also with him in that. And of course, you know that one came out, the head of security came out and said, hey man, I was just, he asked me to do something, that's all I did, I just did it, I didn't know what it was. So you got that one, and you got New York, a case of 2 in New York, where he's been sought after for allegedly paying I guess his mistress off with funds or campaign money. Then they had investigated him for some time about his businesses and business dealings. Good Lord, what in the world is that? Gotta love the outside in the summer. Hey, it is what it is. Like I said before, with those other 3, I really don't see a conviction. I don't see anything worth convicting him for. I just don't. I don't see any charges. But this one, with you being on that recorded line, and that whoever that elected official was that flat out told you several times that there's no way that you won that state, and there's no way they can find any more votes. They've counted, recounted again. There's no way in the world. And you flat out telling them you need to get me those votes. He's been charged with conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election in Florida. And for some odd reason, he's been charged with that. They're saying he conspired. There's even he's got charged with a RICO Act, racketeering. Is he a mobster now? Apparently, because they're saying that with that intimidation and with all of those, I guess they're saying with those other 18 co-defendants, he was maintaining a criminal enterprise. I've never really heard of a criminal enterprise for election fraud. That's a new one on me. And if you're saying to yourself, who's doing all this, who's behind all of this, for this younger generation that might not know, I'm sure you know her, that district attorney is the same district attorney that is trying to get, quite possibly may get a conviction for the younger generation of rappers. What is it? Young Thug, YL. I'm not being funny. I really don't know this new generation of rap like that. But she has them up on racketeering charges. One of their charges also witness intimidation, conspiracy to do what, yada, 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 whatever. That's the same DA. She ain't playing no games. She ain't mixing no words. With this racketeering charge, it kind of threw me at first. And I was like, well, how can you charge the man with racketeering? He's not a mobster. He's not a game maker. I guess with that intimidation. And also, when I say intimidation, apparently some of his supporters got enough moxie and went and intimidated some of the election workers that were just counting the votes, threatened them. Wow. And there's already been some the grand jury, this thing of intimidating and threatening folks that are just executing their civic duty. It's got to stop. It's got to stop, because one thing that has came out is some of his followers, or those that support him, have threatened they haven't threatened some of the grand jury. They released online their names and addresses. Come on. Why? For what reason? The deed is done. It's a wrap. You got 4 indictments. I would think your attention and focus would be on clearing up these charges. Now, the woes don't stop for him. They just don't. So here you got his supporters. They released the name of the all of the grand jury and their addresses. So that's floating around out there online. Kind of goes to, if you did it then, and you have those 2 election officials, election workers, and poll workers telling you that, hey, we were intimidated, and folks were trying to intimidate and threaten and scare the bejesus out of us also. Just wow. Now, like I said, the woes don't stop for him. The presidential, the Republican debate is coming up here soon in a week or so. And President Trump refuses to attend. Instead, he's quite possibly going to give an interview with old Tucker Carlson. Not too sure on his reason for doing that. But those other Republican hopefuls, they're torn into him. They let it be known they were hoping and praying and just chomping at the bites for him to show up at that debate. And I guess he said no way, no how, because you and I know full well that was going to be the topic of conversation. Until those in the Republican Party somehow, some way can, I don't, because Trump is still ahead in that part. He still has many followers. It kind of takes away from business at hand. There seems to be there is a lot of tension and focus on President Trump and what he has going on and what he's doing, but nobody's talking about or trying to deal with the issues that we have in this country as far as how this country is doing economically with the infrastructure. All eyes on President Trump and his legal woes and troubles. So President Trump has came out and said, no, I'm not going to that debate. I'm not participating in it. By the way, the Fulton County District Attorney Office has given him and his co-conspirators, they have until sometime, if not this week, I think it's the 28th. I think it's next week. They have until then to turn themselves in and answer to these charges. And some high-ranking law enforcement official has came out and said that President Trump will turn himself in this week, Thursday or Friday. Still no word from President Trump as to when or if he will turn himself in. I think he'll turn. He has to turn himself in. You don't want to get arrested. you have to turn yourself in. So it's just a matter of when he will turn himself in. Wow. Certainly is a lot of woes and trouble for President Trump. And this fourth indictment, it just may be it. Like I said, you were on that recorded line telling that guy to get you those votes. It isn't word of mouth. They're playing that damn recording. They're playing that damn recording like it's a #1 hit. Like it's at the top of the billboards. Just so. So they have you on racketeering, soliciting a public officer to violate his oath, conspiracy to commit forgery with that electoral college debacle, and conspiracy to file false documents also with that, finding the votes and that electoral college, a makeshift electoral college vote. Wow. That famous phone call with that Georgia Secretary of State back in January the 2nd, 2021, that may be it. That may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Got you on a recorded line. It's public knowledge now. Everyone has heard it unless you just refuse to listen to it. Wow. So much. I jokingly said a few podcasts ago that this Republican Party debate and the election coming up in 2024 with old smoking Sleepy Joe, I jokingly said it's going to be one to watch and made a few little jokes about it. But I got to be honest with you now, with everything that's going on with President Trump, and now we know President Biden's son, this is quite embarrassing to me. May not be to you guys, but it is to me. We got way too much going on in this country to be dealing with this nonsense. This is nonsense. And this is politicians. This is politics. Unless you've been up under a rock all the years you've been on this earth, you know this is politics. This is just what politicians do. If I could say anything, the difference between what we once sat around the living room or in the kitchen table talking about as a conspiracy, the only thing that separates that from this is now we know firsthand. Just do something as big as this. I think the only thing in a recent memory for me, other than me going back in the history books and comparing it to, it has to be President Nixon and Watergate. This was the last time we seen a big political scandal like what we're seeing now. I mean, this is just embarrassing. It just is. You can't convince me otherwise. Is there a witch hunt to thwart President Trump's presidential run? Yeah. They've made it. They've made it known, and now some Republicans are chiming in also. They're saying, hey, he's bad for business. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, yeah, he flat out said, hey, he's a coward. He doesn't want to show up to the debate. Of course he doesn't. Why would he? Just why would he? He knows that's going to be the whole topic. That's the whole debate right there. Nothing's going to be talked about as far as the economy, the infrastructure, foreign affairs, nothing. Oh, and by the way, the Biden administration, they're going to send some more money. And also, they have allowed another country to give the Ukraine some more jets. Those jets won't be readily available until next year. So we have, I think, for me personally, in addition to everything we have going on, at some point in time, now I feel sorry for the Ukraine. I am a human being. At some point in time, we got to stop sending them money. What are we going to do every 4 to 6 months? Send them money? So yeah, the Biden administration is getting ready or has things in motion. They're getting ready to send them some more millions. You may be saying that's chump change, but those millions could be used here. We all know all too well. It just can. So, man, this election, 2024, it's going to go down in the record books as an embarrassment. We will see who gets that Republican nomination also. Like I said, President Trump is still leading in the polls. He has major supporters. But what they're also saying, which kind of caught me off guard as far as the Republican Party, Representative Tim Scott from South Carolina, they're saying he's making a little leadway, a little headway. We'll see what happens with that. Former Vice President Mike Pence is still holding on. That's a career politician. He just is. Wow. We'll see what goes on with this. The saga continues for President Trump. Boy. That phone call, that might be what's going to do you in. To be on that recorded line telling that guy, go find the damn boats. I don't care. Find them. Count them again. President Trump. All right. Let's go get it. Man, I was scrolling around online, looking through some newspaper articles, and I ran across this. Wow. It threw me, and it was very interesting. Because apparently, 2 United States Navy sailors have been charged with espionage. And what they're saying is the 2 have been charged with selling naval classified intel to China. 2 active duty Navy sailors. I would say their name, but I'm going to wreck their names. I don't rightfully know, but I believe they're citizens. They have to be citizens, or at least naturalized. They appear to be Asian Americans. Selling classified documentations to China about the Navy. Gonna start perspiring out here. Yeah, that North Carolina heat is coming. Sweating like a Baptist preacher. Okay, back to this. So these guys, they've got called. One is 22 years old, and he's stationed on board the USS Essex. Now, what they're saying is he sent a spy information on the defense and weaponry capabilities of Navy ships. Apparently, the ship he was on, the Essex, it's a wartime ship. And what he also sent, he sent this information, but he sent intel on the potential vulnerabilities of these ships and information on the ship's movement. When I say vulnerabilities of naval vessels, it goes into the propulsion system, how it operates, how it runs, where, if you're going to do a missile strike, where to hit, but where you can affect the most damage to cause that ship to catch on fire and sink. As far as the ship movements goes, where the ship is going to be, when the ship is going to be underway, where it's going to be docked, where the ports are, what the training it's going to be doing on board. That exposing the vulnerability of naval ships is a biggie. If you know that propulsion system, if you know the satellite, the intel communication system, meaning the radar, the satellites, also the weaponry, because that's included in it too, what guns they have on board. And I'm not talking about your little 45. I'm talking about those the big boys. If you have all that information and you're sitting out in the middle of the ocean, you know where to attack. It leaves you wide open, exposed. So yeah, that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. That ain't nothing just to glance over. So we sold all this information to the Chinese. Got a little paper also. He was paid $5,000 for his information, for his intel. Now you've been you're sitting in an espionage charge. Buddy, homie, pal. I hope that $5,000 was worth it. Now apparently these guys, or this one in particular, he had been they had been watching him for a while. I think they said he was exposed. He had been exposed for selling that information on the ship's movement back to 2020. So the better part of 2, maybe 3 years, they've been watching you, homie, and they got all their ducks in a row, and they coming. Now, in addition to information on the ship's movement, the propulsion system, how it runs, what it uses to operate and steer. He also sold some tech manuals exposing that propulsion system, blueprints of the ship. There you go. You know where to attack. And photos and videos of the assets underway doing drills. Wow. I guess if you're going to do it big. Hey, why not? You got $5,000 out of it. Was it worth it? Probably not. Because they're probably tuning you, or you have probably been tuned up. And you're probably still getting tuned up. Of all places, you sold it to China. Wow, China. Now this second one, the second sailor. This guy, it gets better. 26-year-old sailor. He's stationed at a naval base in Ventura, California. He's been charged with conspiracy and taking bribes over 2 years. Of course, he sold photos and diagrams and blueprints outlining the electrical system for radars for a location in Okinawa, Japan. So he was stationed in California, and at some point in time he had to be stationed in Okinawa, Japan. He sold the blueprints for the electrical system for the radars. And if you know anything about Okinawa, yeah, it is a naval base, but it's sitting out there. Got to deal with China and North Korea, and those radars are whirling around. And if you're the Chinese and you're always trying to disrupt with Japan and Taiwan, you want those countries to yourself. And here you got military operations and installations on these islands that you want. And you got somebody, 26-year-old sailor, and you paid him a grand total of $14,866.76. They nailed that down to a T, didn't they? They nailed it down to the cents. Wow. So you sold photos, diagrams, and blueprints outlining the electrical systems of the radars, which is very important for those military bases and installations and those naval ships out there near China and North Korea. They're spying at, looking at you, and you're looking at them. You need to know where they're at all times. And if the Chinese got hold of it, and they can, somehow, some way disrupt your radar system, it's a wrap. So this is very serious business. This ain't no TV spy show. This is huge. So this story came out earlier this month. I really haven't been able to find any update. I'm sure they're just pretty hush-hush. They're going through the old two-step, gathering data, tuning their asses up, and they're coming. Will this be an altercation with China? Because it's often been speculated, and we've had some instances where we hey, that spy balloon that was flying through here earlier this year. Now we know. Maybe they didn't need that damn spy balloon. How many more of them are out there that are selling all this information, putting a little paper in their pockets? Wow. So the second one got close to 15,000, and the first one only got 5,000. Maybe he hadn't been in the game that long. Why he only got 5? The other one got 15, damn near 15,000. Maybe he was going to get better with it also, and they were going to start paying him more. Still haven't been able to find out how or what tipped the U.S. naval officials off to what was going on here. Probably with all of those bank deposits. I know that that 15,000 one pretty much tipped them off. Just trust me, you ain't making 15,000 like that in the military. You're just not. You're just not. I know a lot of folks think, hey, the military, they pay you good. Yeah, okay, somewhat. But you ain't getting no check for no 15,000 like that. I'm sorry. You're just not. Hate to bust your little bubbles out there in regular civilian land, but no, Uncle Sam don't pay that damn good. Just don't. Just don't. So I'll keep you guys updated on this, but this most definitely is something that I'm following. This is huge. I know it hasn't gotten the media attention that it so rightly deserves. Maybe they're going to loop back around when they get some more information and data on what these guys really and truly did. But man, dare I say, China may be one up on us. They got information on our naval ships and how they run, how they operate. They got information on the bases, the radar system, electrical system, photos of ships' movement in the drills and exercises they're doing. Spy game is heated back up. So China may just be one up on us. Oh, also, update. A podcast or so ago, I told you about the young man that was stationed in South Korea that was in disciplinary problems, and he was getting ready to be kicked out after he served his time in the military brig there, the restriction and extra duty, and they were taking him out that morning to the airport. He was scheduled to get on a flight. Somehow, some way, he broke away from the shore patrol and ended up hours later at a little tour group that was looking at the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, and he bolted for the North Korean side. Looks like the update is he wanted to show the U.S. Army, he wanted to teach them a lesson. He did have disciplinary problems. He wanted to show them and teach them a lesson, not to play with him, because as he said it, and his family has came out and said, is that he felt as though he was being picked on. He felt as though he was being racially discriminated against. Okay. Let me just start by saying there is racism or prejudice in the United States military. You got folks from all over this country. You got some folks from the north, the south, east, west, midwest, southwest, northeast, deep south. Yeah. And yeah, I experienced it also. There's nothing more than what you deal with in everyday life. Folks' prejudices against you because of who you are, or the color of your skin, or whatever, or what have you. Yeah, that's life. So apparently whatever it was, it boiled over, and he got into a fight with someone. He ended up getting in trouble, because that's what they're saying. The disciplinary action was because he got into a fight. And so much so, I guess they just said, hey, this wasn't a regular little fight, or maybe he had some more problems and instances and it built up. And so they decided, hey, we're going to kick you out, send you back stateside, and release you to the world. And he said to himself, you bastards. You bastards have dogged me out so much. You're such, you're racist, and you treated me like crap. I'm going to show you by running to North Korea. I don't know what the desired effect or response was. I would hope by now that you hit your knees and you prayed to God, because you put yourself in a very dangerous situation. Whether you were experiencing racism, prejudices, or just flat out folks just didn't like you or whatever, when you bolted to that North Korean side, you didn't know how those North Koreans were going to react with the tensions between North Korea and South Korea, and North Korea and the United States. I hope you hit your knees and you prayed to God and asked and thanked Him for His grace and mercy. That was extremely dangerous. I know you're young, and I know it throws you for a loop when you're in the military and you join the military and you say to yourself, hey, I'm going to see the world, I'm going to yada yada yada, rah rah rah, shish boom bah, everything's going to be groovy, gravy, copacetic, I am living the life. And then bam, you hit with the same thing you hit with out in the civilian life, because you are thinking to yourself, we're a brotherhood, we're supposed to bond together, help each other out, and stand 10 toes down for each other. It can throw you for a loop, but to do this, you jeopardize your whole life. And it's not even deal with the military aspect of it, but you bolt into that North Korean side, you jeopardize your life. You didn't know how those North Koreans were going to act or react. I mean, hey, let's just think about it. Suppose they were on that particular day. Hey, we're on this thing now. Hey, you could have been really hurt or killed. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been told. Hey, like I always say, I stand out on that proverbial limb all by myself. A lot of times folks tell me you think too much, you're going too far down the road. But I feel safe in saying with this right here, this foolishness. Come on, man. Come on, homie. You could have been killed. You don't know what those North Koreans were on that. It could have been on that day. You just don't. So I guess he was trying to show them that you guys, maybe he was hoping to get some international press or attention. That really hasn't worked. It really hasn't worked too well. A few little wranglings or little subtitles here and there. That's how I stumbled on this update, because it was on the news, but it won't on the news. It was just like not even a byline. Wow. I pray for you. I hope you realize and can figure out and move forward with your life. Folks' prejudices against you because of the color of your skin or your gender or whatever, what have you. That's a given in this world. I'm sorry, it just is. Whether you're in the military or out of the military, whether you're in the police department, whether you're not in the police department, whether you're in corporate America or you're not in corporate America, whether you're in just a lowly retail clerk or a frontline cook, it just is. That's the bottom line. That's the skinny. You got to figure out a way to continue to move forward with your life. And that right there wasn't smart. I don't care what anyone says. You can't convince me. Whatever prejudice or racism you experienced in the military, yeah, it's jacked up. I give you that. Like I said, I experienced it too. I know countless other military personnel that experienced it. But I don't think we would ever have fathomed the notion of hauling ass to North Korea. You want to talk about some prejudices against you for the color of your skin? Come on now. What were you thinking? I know sometimes life can be hard. Ain't no doubt about that. But what were you thinking? What did you believe was going to happen? I hope it wasn't that North Korea was going to come down or condemn the United States. I don't think that would have happened. Wow. Certainly is a lot going on in this country to date. But the catalyst for me, like I said earlier, is these two United States Navy personnel that have been accused, or should I say arrested, for espionage. How much more information does China have on us and our military and how it operates? If you're saying to yourself, that ain't nothing much to talk about, well, you never know how these things turn out. You never know what China is going to do or say, or I should say do, to start something over here in the continental United States. Oh, that'll never happen. 9/11. 9/11 opened a lot of folks' eyes to the vulnerability of the United States. Heightened awareness and heightened alert. Ain't no conspiracy nut job theorists, but man, something like this, it ain't no conspiracy, it's a fact. I'll keep you guys updated on that. I will keep you guys updated on that. Alright, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to skedaddle. That's all for me today, and I want to thank you all for lending me your ears this morning. Yeah, it's that warm here now. Continue to like, offer support, feedback. Anchor, which I'm sharing this with, has a great feature where you can leave a voice response, and I would love to hear your voice. So offer feedback. I won't bite, I promise. I have no problem with folks saying either yay or nay, whatever, what have you. It does not matter to me. I'm sure we can all sit down, or we can sit down and have a mature adult conversation about our disagreements. And also on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think. Do you like what I'm talking about, or do you not? Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Just as. Continue to follow and listen, like I said, on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Verbal, and WordPress, and YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, my name is Stephen Cornegay. Thank you for listening. This is Just a Thought. Amen.